Good morning, good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Uh, And as people continue to enter in, you can feel free to just look around, stretch, move a little bit, just settle in, take a few nice long breaths. Good. And when you're ready, you can just begin to, as people continue to come in, just come into just a sense of stillness. You could close the eyes or keep them open, whatever works for you. And if you're just joining us, we're just settling in and feeling into the room, into the body. Mm. Mm. And we might begin just very, very simply just by drawing attention to the contact with the ground. Whether you're seated or standing or lying down or even walking, just feeling just the body's contact with the earth. And just holding the attention there. It's amazing how just drawing the attention to one sensation, how profound that can be. And then noticing as you feel into that contact that there is a body here. This is a body connecting with the earth. And that this body is breathing. And as you notice this experience, notice any sense of holding or clinging or tightness or anything at all. You notice this body that's breathing is in an environment. So feeling into the space around the body, in front of, out to the sides, to the back, up and down, all directions. Let's take a nice big inhale through the nose and a long exhale out of the mouth, perhaps sighing. And let's do that again. Inhale and a nice long exhale. And one more time. Inhale. And as you exhale, you can open the eyes if they're not already open, taking in vision, the screen, the environment. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here to the Sacred Mountain Sangha Sunday Sit. My name is Adam Stonebraker, and I'm a core teacher with Sacred Mountain Sangha. And just to kind of note the rhythm that this morning will, or afternoon or evening will take for you. So we begin with just some orientation, which that was. And now we're going to move into some chanting for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then we'll go into some sitting practice. And then I'll offer some Dharma words. And then we'll close out at 1 o'clock, but you have the option to stay for some Dharma discussion or questions or insights or just to share in community if you'd like to. There's a rough ending of 1:15, but sometimes we go longer. So if the Dharma conversation is flowing, then we just sort of stay with it. And during that time, you can leave whenever you want to. I'm going to throw a couple of links into the chat here. That is our chanting manual or chanting booklet. And so the first one is the actual document that's on online. But for sometimes that doesn't work for everyone. So the next link is just the website where that link is. So you'll see if you go to that link, it'll say SMS chants and mantras. And if you scroll down to chanting book, you can open it that way as well. Hopefully one of those ways will work for you. And if that doesn't, just let me know and we can fix that. All right. So we'll begin chanting on page 3. And we'll begin with the Namo Tassa Bhagavato. So Namo is homage to, or sometimes it's translated as returning to. And this is an honoring of the Buddha or honoring of our own Buddha nature or awareness itself. And then after that, we'll move down to the refuges. And then after that, we'll move to page 4, the next page, and do the recollection of the triple jewel. And then once we get there, I'll direct you further. All right. There we go. So honoring that which is worthy of honor, which is one of our practices that the Buddha recommended, honoring that which is worthy of honor. Let's exhale together and then inhale. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Dutiyampi Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Tatiyampi Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Tatiyampi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Tatiyampi Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Again, page 4, recollection of the triple jewel. Itipiso bhagava araham samma sambuddho bija charana sampano sugato lokaviru anutaro purisadama sarati sata deva manusanam buddho Bhagavati Sabhakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanahiko Pachatam Vedita Bohvinu Iti Supatipano Bhagavato Sabakasango Ujupatipano Bhagavato Sabakasango Naya Patipano Bhagavato Sabakasango Sami Chipatipano Bhagavato Sabakasango Yadidam Chattari Purisayogania Tapuri Esa Bhagavato Sabakasango Ahunayo Pahunayo Dakenayo Anjali Karaniyo Anutaraham Punyaketam Loka Sati. Just pause here for a moment. Feel into the vibrations of the chanting. These ancient words and syllables. And honoring the lineages, the practitioners, the teachers who have carried these words with them to us over thousands of years, originating in South Asia and spreading from there. East Asia, Central Asia, West Asia. Throughout the world. Honoring that we stand on the shoulders of incredible people, practitioners, teachers. Yes, wonderful. Okay, how about we go to page 7, and we'll chant the 2 chants on page 7, which is the 5 subjects for frequent recollection and the reflections on universal well-being. 5 subjects recommended for daily reflection. Now let us chant the 5 subjects for frequent recollection. I am of the nature to age. I have not gone beyond aging. I am of the nature to sicken. I have not gone beyond sickness. I am of the nature to die. I have not gone beyond dying. All that is mine, beloved and pleasing, will become otherwise, will become separated from me. I am the owner of my karma, heir to my karma, born of my karma, related to my karma, abide supported by my karma. Whatever karma I shall do, for good or for ill, of that I will be the heir. Thus we should frequently recollect. Now let us chant the Buddha's words on universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings be released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their action and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such action, and its results will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts they will be the heirs. Here, let's go to page 12, I believe, the Great Compassion Mantra. Let's do it once through. Namo Dabe Quan Sher Yin Pu Sa Namo Dave Quan Namo Halla Dano Dola Ye Namo Ali Polu Jiri Shambola Ye Buddhi Sato Paye Moa Sato Paye Moha Jaruni Jayan Sapanna Paye Sodan Oda Shinamo Lito Imanga Lie Polu Jiri Sherpola Lungoba Namo Nula Ginger Shiri Moha Pando Samme Saparata Shubhanga Shuyun Sapasado Pasado Namo Pachemo Patado Dajatana Navalu Shiru Jari Jaladi Shini Moha Buddhi Sato Sappa Sappa Mola Mola Mushirito Yun Juru Juru Jimang Duru Duru Fashayedi Moha Fashayedi Tola Tola Dini Sherfula Ye Jala Jala Momo Famola Yishi Yishi Sherno Sherno Ada Shanbura Shari Vasha Vashan Bula Shaye Hulu Hulu Mola Hulu Hulu Shiri Sola Shiri Shiri Sulu Sulu Buddhi Ye Buddho Ye Buddho Ye Buddho Ye Miri Ye Nola Ginger Diri Shiny No Paya Mono Sopa Shito Ye Mohashito Ye Sopa Shito Yu Sherpana Ye Sopa Nola Ginger Sopa Mola Nola Sopa Shiru Sangha Mujo Ye Sopa Moha Shito Ye Sopa Jajira Shito Ye Sopa Bono Moji Shito Ye Sopa Nola Ginger Panjera Ye Mopali Shung Jela Ye Sopa Namo Hala Dano Dola Ye Namo Ali Ye Polu Jiri Shaubola Ye Sopa Nanchi Dandu Mandola Bato Ye Sopa Ha Namo Quan Chö Yin Pu Sao Na Mo Quan Chö Yin Pu Sa E Na Mo Quan Chö Yin Pu Sao Na Mo Quan Chö Yin Pu Sa E Na Mo Quan Chö Yin Pu Sao Na Mo Quan Chö Yin Pu Sa. So from here, just naturally going into sitting period. So if you need to move a bit or shrug the shoulders, adjust. And perhaps just a few breaths just to settle into, yeah, into some stillness. But we never want our stillness to be rigid. So the eyes might close. There's a softness to the eyelids. Though the body might be still, there's a spacious quality, even a fluid quality, like still water rather than ice. So water has the space and the ability to sway and move a bit. It's balance between attentiveness and relaxation, of groundedness and lifting, of expansion and containment. When I practice Zen, one of the main practice is what was called shikantaza, which just translates as just sitting. The idea is just to sit and allow. And what do we allow for? We allow for just a natural unfoldment of whatever's here. To be and to notice patterns, tendencies, reactions. Yeah, so let's try that. A short period of time. This is at all destabilizing. You can always have the anchor of the contact with the earth. Or just the simple in and out breath. Noticing the body, the mind, any clinging, holding, reactivity. These things don't have to be a problem. Actually, pointers. Allow them to be guides rather than obstructions or problems. Right, thank you. So feel free to move and get comfortable as I offer some Dharma words here. Mhm. So nice to practice with you all, even over Zoom. For all of its drawbacks, there is lots of blessing to be able to gather like this from all over the world. So, if you don't want to see my face really giant in front of you, you can go to the upper right hand corner to view and go to gallery. Uh, I like to see everybody. So. Hmm. Yeah, so I really love this practice that we just did, just very simple of just sitting. Um, and the reason I chose it today was just because it's something I work with a lot, of just kind of like a awareness without an anchor, meditating without an anchor. Um, because I've just been thinking about and reading about and listening to Dharma talks about just nature and this word natural, and trying to kind of figure out really what that means, because we have this sort of conventional idea of nature as being, this thing I go out of my house and into. I go out into the woods or I go hiking, and so there can be this kind of built into our narrative, um, this sort of separation, this kind of me and other, where really we are nature. And so if we see ourselves as separate, we see ourselves doing something within or separate from. Whereas if we see ourselves as nature, then just the sitting itself, nature naturally unfolds. And so, what is natural, what is nature, and what is unnatural? Or is there an even such a thing as unnatural? And so I think it's really important when we look at this to deepen our understanding of ourselves, because right here in this body, uh, this mind is a natural unfolding. And one of the patterns you see in spiritual teachers throughout the centuries, going back to the Buddha and Lao Tzu and all of these teachers, is this theme of nature, or this looking to align with what is natural, or the natural law. This is a very common thing. And to really understand, and the Buddha points towards this, what is that separation, or what gets in the way of our alignment with nature or the natural law or the way things are. Because from a Buddhist perspective, we're already awake. We have everything here. That's everything we need is right here. We're already awake, but there's something kind of covering up this realization, this enlightenment. And because we're all emergent from the same Buddha nature, again, we're already there, but this something gets in our way. Yeah. Hmm. So there seems to be, as we as humans or we as practitioners, there seems to be this sort of balancing act of in our lives constantly, in our meditation practice, of what is prominent. of what gets the attention. And there are two very different systems at play within us. And the characterizations of these two different systems, or these two different things at play, are very, very different. And the Buddha talked about this. One of these things is the Buddha talked about as artificial, or constructed, or not part of the natural working order of things. And so there's these two things, this synthetic, this constructed aspect, and then there's this natural aspect. We don't want the synthetic thing, we want the all natural thing. I think of like sugar or all of these other things. We don't want the synthetic, we want the real natural thing. And so what this really means is that synthetic things don't exist on their own in nature. They're a constructed thing by humans. Humans put this thing together and it's a synthetic thing. Yeah. And so it doesn't exist on its own. And there can be an argument that this is natural as well. You can have this all-inclusive view of nature, that because I'm nature, anything that I create is natural. That's true. We could say that. But that's not really how the Buddha talked about it. So we can make a distinction between what is made by humans and what is not made by humans. What is synthetic and what is natural. What is artificial and what is part of the natural order of things. And this construction, or this synthetic thing, the Pali word for that is, we could call it is a sankhara. Sankhara. And so sankharas are things that are constructed in a way that's unnatural, that's not in alignment with the natural law. And natural law being Dharma or Dhamma. And Dhamma, a very old definition of Dharma or Dhamma, is natural law. And the Buddha had nothing positive to say about sankharas. The positive constructions that he talked about were called dharmas. So it's things that were in alignment with the natural law were dharmas. Things that went against it or caused problems or were human-made constructions are called sankharas. Ajahn Suchito's definition of sankhara is a program. So it's like a program that's running in our mind, a program that was installed in us at childhood, or a program that was installed in us out of a certain selfish desire, or a selfing program, or something like this. Buddhadasa's definition is fabrication. I like that one too. Traditionally, what you hear is volitional formation, but really the thing to understand is sankharas are these constructed things that are put together, that hold us back or keep us from seeing the big picture or the natural law or the way things are. And traditionally, the word sankhara was used for like rituals, like something that's put together, or like a recipe, like a soup or something, like something that's put together. That's a sankhara. So it's all these things coming together and creating another thing, a synthetic thing that doesn't exist naturally in nature. And so the Buddha's whole teaching points us towards something that cannot be constructed by humans. Yeah. To something that's natural, that is inherent. The Dharma is the natural, it's our inheritance, it's the way things are. A human can't construct it. And so we can't engineer our enlightenment. It can't be engineered. The Buddha actually tried this for many, many years. Buddha went out into the forest and found these teachers, and they taught him specific techniques, which he mastered to the point where the teacher asked him to become their teacher. But he saw that these were just constructions that where you could achieve a specific thing or a certain state, but they didn't free him from suffering. And so he did this several times. Then he went out into the woods and became an ascetic and tried to engineer or force, something himself into enlightenment, but it didn't work. it was just a struggle. It led nowhere. It wasn't until he allowed himself to sit under a tree completely still and listen, not try to engineer, not try to force, but listen and allowed, that he became enlightened. If you ever look at it like a Tibetan painting of the wheel of life, it shows the uh, the cycle or the wheel of dependent origination. And in one of those pictures, you see a potter making pots, and this is the image that is for sankharas. And so the idea is there's this constructed fabrication. We create fabrications. This is what we do as humans. And then another image you see in Buddhism a lot is like a clear lake, and resting at the bottom of the lake are broken pottery shards. You see that often? And so the clear lake equals awakening, and the construction, the sankhara, has been shattered and it floats to the bottom of the lake. And this is really interesting, I think, because it's through the destruction of a fabrication that awakening is allowed to happen. We probably have all heard the famous Buddha quote of, "Oh house builder, you have been seen." We could also say, "Oh potter, you have been seen. Oh constructor, you have been seen. Oh house builder, you have been seen. You shall not build the house again. Your rafters have been broken up. Your ridgepole is demolished too." This is what he's referring to. This is breaking open of the construction. So I have attained the destruction. I have the destruction of the sankharas. And the real point here is that the constructions and the sankharas just aren't necessary, but it's something we do as humans, consciously or unconsciously, to try to create safety or solidity. And so this is where the clinging comes in. So the clinging creates suffering. So we cling to something, some construction. And I think this is a really important thing to see. And so there's this synthetic thing that we make, where the Dharma is natural, it's everywhere. It cannot be constructed, it cannot be engineered. And so one of the images that the Buddha uses, and this relates directly to this kind of practice of just sitting, and to a very natural way of going about practicing the Dharma. In the Nava Sutta, in the Samyutta Nikaya, he uses the image of a hen that has laid eggs, and the hen sits on the eggs and incubates them. And in the beginning of the sutta, he talks about if the hen sits on the eggs in a wrong way, thinking about, once the eggs hatch, the beaks will poke out, and the little legs will poke out, and it'll like be jagged, and it'll hurt me, and all these things. If the hen goes into the sitting in that way, then it'll sit on the eggs wrong, and there won't be an incubation that happens. But if the hen goes in and sits on the eggs equally and just sits there, even if the hen doesn't want the eggs to hatch, the eggs will hatch anyway. Because there's a nurturing, there's an incubation, there's a gestation that happens when the hen sits on the eggs in the right way. In the same way, when we practice the Dharma in the way that Buddha talked about it, in this very natural way, where we're allowing, we might get poked by the beaks of our resistance, or the little claws of our attachments, and all of these things may happen. But even if we don't want to awaken, we'll still awaken, because we've allowed the process to unfold. And the Buddha talks about this. And so what is it that keeps us from doing this? I think that's, when we sit very naturally, like we were just doing, it becomes very obvious. Because if we don't have an anchor, have something to focus on, and we're just left to our own devices, it can get really uncomfortable very quickly. Because what we start to see is this, these reaction patterns, the reactivity. And where does this reactivity come from? This reactivity comes from sankhara, from a construction, from something that's unnatural, that's synthetic. It's not a natural, it's not a natural occurrence. It comes from expectations, it comes from clinging, it comes from desires, it comes from all these things. So the way to kind of to go about, the cultivation of the Dharma is just that, the cultivation of the Dharma. It's a process of growth. It's an incubation. It's, the word bhavana, which means to cultivate, to develop, to allow. And so many of us have probably grown gardens before or planted plants from seed. And we use the language of I grew a garden, or I grew a tomato plant, or I grew a marigold, or whatever it is. But that's not really what we do. We don't grow it. What we do is we make sure we plant the seed in nourishing soil. We make sure the seed gets enough light. We make sure the seed has enough water, that it's the right season, all of these things. And we don't pull the plant out of the seed and engineer this thing. What we do is we create the conditions for the seed to naturally arise. So we create these nourishing conditions, which create the right conditions. And I know sometimes people have problems with the word right when we talk about like right speech, right mindfulness, all of these things. But we can think of right as like using the right tool, not like a commandment, like you have to do the right thing. It's more like for a Phillips head screw, I use a Phillips head screwdriver to use it. If I used another type of screwdriver, it wouldn't work. So I use the right one, which is the Phillips head for the Phillips head. I use the straight head for the straight head. Things like that. So that we use the right conditions. We create the right conditions, the nourishing conditions, which will allow something to come into fruition. And so the fruit comes out of the fruition of the plant under the right conditions. In the same way, the fruit of our practice comes about through creating the right conditions. Yeah, allowing a natural unfoldment. Yeah. And so I ask the question, as we end here, just what is waiting to arise? What is awaiting to unfold in your own practice? When I let go and I allow a nourishing, when I create the conditions, what is there to arise? When I sit and just I feel the claws and the beaks and the things. Where is that coming from? Can I sit with it? Can I sit through it? Can I allow it? And then you bring in a technique to help settle, and then maybe you go back into sitting with the difficulty or whatever it is. And so I'll just stop there. There's more to say about this, but I just want to leave you with that. Just what is awaiting to arise? What am I preventing from arising? What needs to be gestated and incubated? What does fruition look like to me? Yeah. Hmm. All right. Always so short. It's always difficult to fit in words like that. But it is 1 o'clock, and if you need to go, please go. Before you go, though, I wanted to give you the opportunity to leave dana if you would like to. Here's a link to the dana. You can specify what it's for, whether it's just for Sacred Mountain Sangha in general, or for the Sunday Sangha, or whatever it is. You can write a little note about that. Thank you so much for being here. Happy practice. Please keep looking at the newsletter. There's more and more things coming up. We're starting to add more things, retreats and classes and courses and multi-week and individual things from all of the teachers. So please keep an eye out for that. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll have another one of these next week. And I'm not sure who the teacher will be, but you can be surprised. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week. Happy practice, and see you soon.